Hello?
Hey, it's me. It's Julian. Can you let me in?
Why are you outside?
Don't worry about it. Does God hate furries?
I know you saw the title of the video, I know you saw the thumbnail of the video, and you're like, hey, huh? Furries? The Bible? Yes, maybe there's furries in there. I don't know, we're gonna find out. That dude you saw in the beginning of the video, his name is Rob. He knows more about the Bible than anyone I know. He's got degrees on degrees, masters, working on a PhD right now, all around Bible stuff. And he is down to answer my questions, even if they're out there, like this one. Also, I'm Julian, by the way, but before we get into the video, what is a furry?
It's like a guy who wants to eat animals.
What is a furry?
Furry is someone who dresses up as an animal and displays animal-like characteristics.
I would say like they would display characteristics as an animal, whatever animal they wanted for, you know, however long they wanted. But I think furries are cool.
To my understanding, there are groups of people with sexual inclinations towards other mammals.
Makes sense.
I think the general consensus is that furries are people who have sex with animals, they wear fursuits, they're having sex, banging up the ting, getting it in, or something of that nature. So I asked a couple different people who work in churches and pastors and priests and people like that to find out, have furries gotten into the church? Do they know what a furry is? What is a furry?
Excuse me?
What is a furry?
What is a furry?
Yeah.
Spell that.
Furry.
I've never heard that term.
You've never heard of it? Okay. What is a furry?
A furry?
Yeah.
Really?
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
When I look at that, I think of mascots.
To my understanding, I actually have a friend who's pretty big into brony culture. I believe they are a group of people who do participate in like identifying in their sexual orientation as kind of like an animal, but not fully.
It's somebody that likes dressing up in like fuzzy, furry clothes, and they derive some kind of joy from that.
But here's the thing. All these people we're talking to, even yourself at home most likely, they're not furries. So I went on a deep dive, got on Reddit, joined the Reddit, got on Discord, the furry Discord, got in deep, joined the furry Discord, and got to talking to some furries to find the cold hard truth on what a furry is. Here's a little reenactment. Hey, can you guys maybe educate me on what being a furry is?
You ask over here. I think everyone will answer you.
Was that supposed to be creepy, like or was that supposed to be like hee hee hee, we're all friends here? It turned out that it was a nice hee hee.
More like this? Not this.
Everyone was pretty nice and cool and answering all the questions that I had. Okay, cool. So what's the deal with the fursuits? Does everybody have one? Is there a specific name for them besides just fursuit?
Most people don't have one.
It's only if you really want one.
If you really like cosplay.
Or if you have a lot of money in hand.
Or if you're suspiciously wealthy.
Yeah.
Honestly, everyone was really open to helping me out. It was a really nice community of people.
Basically, just the extreme minority have them.
That's right.
It's just really present on social media. Like, it's like if you spent a bunch of money on an expensive rug, you're gonna want to show it off.
So does everybody have like a specific animal they picked, or can you pick more than one?
One or more.
You usually pick at least one to represent you, but you can have more.
It's just basically an avatar to us online, like a gamer tag. Yeah, basically.
They answered pretty much all my questions, and they were really patient with me as I was just some random guy coming into their community.
Being a furry is being interested in cartoon animals.
That's until we got to the sex stuff. And I know that's what you're here for. I know you really just want to know about the sex stuff.
You nasty.
All right, well, here it is. We're here. We're finally at that point in the video. So what's the deal with the sex stuff?
Let's keep this conversation away from not safe for work things. This server isn't really suitable for that kind of discussion.
I realized I'd been thinking about it all wrong. I thought that the sex part was kind of like a key part of it all. But this whole entire Discord server, there was nothing sexual, there's nothing not safe for work, nothing like that on the whole entire thing. It was just a bunch of people in a community who were friendly with each other, nice to each other, that all were passionate about this one thing. But I still wanted to know what the deal with all the sex stuff was, so I talked to Kea, who's a part of the community, in a private message to find out what's really going on. Here's a little reenactment. So how does all this sex stuff work with the furries? Is it like there's a majority of people who are into it, or is it a minority like the fursuits? Okay, so you're not into the furry kink stuff even now, right? Okay, but I'm wondering, I heard at like these conventions and stuff, they have this thing called a yiff pit. Is that a real thing? Is that just like a meme? Okay, so based on everything you know about being a furry and whatever you know about the Bible, do you think that being a furry is a sin? Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. It's like I usually only see the people who are doing the more extreme things, but people like you don't normally hear about them. So after everything that we've learned, I don't know if it is against the Bible. It doesn't seem any more against it than, as Kea said, comic books or video games or being really into movies or something. But let's talk to Rob and find out what does he have to say based on what it actually says in the Bible. It could be different.
What, are you going to ask me if God hates furries again? When you first asked me this question, I had this immediate idea of what a furry was. In my mind, everything that I had heard about a furry was that it was like this sexual thing and that people would dress up as animals. But I wanted to learn more.
What is a furry?
I wanted to learn more about furries before I could really give you an answer on does God hate furries? And I find it interesting how often it's this fringe minority that we kind of get the idea is the whole, and it's really not. So the question is, does God hate furries? Well, truthfully, the Bible doesn't talk about furries at all. That idea doesn't come up. And the Bible does give a list of 7 things that God hates, and it really sums it all up is that God hates sin. So the question should be, is it sin to be a furry? To answer that, I want to talk about what sin is and what it isn't. Biblically, sin is not as black and white and so much of a do this and don't do this kind of idea. The word sin in the Old Testament means to miss the mark, one of the words that gets used. And the best way to think about it is like an arrow shooting at a bullseye, right? If you're an archer, you shoot an arrow and you miss, you don't get the bullseye. And that word is chata, or sin. And to miss the mark is to sin. There's an ideal, which is the bullseye, and the rest miss it. So is being a furry a sin? Is it missing the mark to find an avatar cute and to use it on the internet? Is it a sin to like an anthropomorphic creature and dress up as it? I don't know, what do you think? First, I would ask, well, why would someone choose to dress up, or why is someone attracted to this avatar? From what I've learned, most people, it's just, they think it's cute, they like it. That's not missing the mark. In some ways, it's trying to find joy in the created world, and there's really nothing wrong with trying to find joy in our lives. For some of us, we may do it for other reasons. For some, it may be because we don't like who we are and we want to hide ourselves away. For some, it might be because we don't feel at home in our body and are trying to find something that makes sense to us. For some of us, it's because we want to identify with something other than being human. And while it might give us a temporary comfort, it's not what we're meant for. We were meant for much more. So if being a furry is to escape being human in some way, to find an identity in something other than being God's created masterpiece, like the Apostle Paul says in Ephesians 2:10, then yeah, it's missing the mark. And nothing we try to do on our own will satisfy what's already missing in us.
Now you know, you could be a furry. It's not a sin. God won't hate you. You're all good, as long as you don't do too much. But that goes for anything. Live life. Be a furry if you want. It's all good, baby. It's all good.